Hello Wayfinders, DonTheCrown here, and today I want to talk about what I think is the current strongest stat in Wayfinders and what I'm doing to stack that as much as possible. So if you're not familiar with these stats in Wayfinder, there is max health, which gives you more health. Resilience makes it so that you are a little bit more tanky. You kind of have like a buffer to when you start getting staggered. I probably need to upgrade this a little bit. And then we come to the number one stat IMO, which is weapon power. So weapon power and ability power at first might seem a little bit confusing, but it's pretty simple. Weapon power increases the damage you deal directly with your weapons with like regular left clicks and your heavy attack, whereas ability power increases the damage you deal with your abilities. Now, I don't know about you, but I end up hitting with my weapon attacks a whole lot more than I ever do with my ability power abilities, if you would. And so weapon power is just absolutely bonkers to stack because of this. And I'm able to go and do content that I probably shouldn't be able to do and like just kind of solo down through bosses because we just burst so freaking hard. And this is especially true with daggers because daggers, as you're going through, the combination that you're looking to do is just spam a whole bunch of left click, and then you can use your heavy attack and it is empowered, and it gives you an iframe or an immunity frame where you don't take damage. So when you see the boss is about to do a big hit, you can either counter it by using your block, or can you just do heavy attack through it and take no damage. And so weapon power I think is incredibly strong. I'm not necessarily sure that Nis is actually the best for this. It's probably Wingrave. I'm going to be farming this guy out today on stream to see if we can switch Arenio over to that and check it out. But the other stats like crit rating, crit power are also pretty good. Break power allows you to get through enemies like meter pretty quickly. This is kind of I think a catch-22 type of stat. So it is really good against enemies that have meter and that you want to break through quickly. But there's lots of times that like, especially with like having low break power, I just get through that meter very quickly. And once you're already through the meter, it's not really doing anything for you per se. So maybe if you play with somebody else and they go heavy break power, it might be kind of interesting, but this is something I'm kind of like, it's secondary to me to weapon power. And then physical defense and magical defense are just like weapon power and ability power. So weapon power or physical defense reduces the damage you take from like normal hits from enemies, whereas magical defense reduces from special attacks. And so physical defense I think is a little bit more important than magical defense. Now, in order to stack these as much as possible, going to Affinity right now, I've been stacking up my weapon power affinity. I'm at level 3 of the other two for crit rating, magic defense, and max health crit power. But going over here to weapon power is just, I think, really, really good. Just even small incremental gains does give you quite a bit of power. For the affinity perks up here, really what I'm looking forward to getting is Discipline level 15. This makes it so that 10% of our weapon and ability damage pierces enemy armor, which I think is much more important than trying to chase having the right affinity for your current gear set. So for a while there, Discipline was giving me more weapon power, now it's not. And then Instinct was, now it's not. Focus now would give me more ability or weapon power, but it, might not when the next time I get upgrades. And yeah, so I just think that going for the perks first is probably a little bit more impactful. Speaking of gear, when you level up, I'd always recommend going and clicking on gear piece, whatever is the lowest level. So you can see here, this says 14, whereas this one says 17 right here. So I click on this Eldrin ring, and then I just click C twice to sort by power. And I just look for the things that have high level to see if any of these is going to give me a weapon power increase or something close. So you can see here that herbal powder actually gives me just a little bit of a weapon power drop. Now that's probably because this is actually giving me, like weapon power from the echo that's inside of it. So I can kind of just go and look at this particular thing just by middle mouse clicking on it twice. And so I can see that this would have a defensive echo slot and an offensive echo slot. So it's very likely that switching over to herbal powder would be good for me, except my Eldrin ring is in a combo set with my Codex of the Shadow's Whisper to give myself an additional 5% weapon power. So you kind of got to think about these things as well. You can craft some of these over at the vendor. The other thing I'm using right now is the Archaic Resistant Glove, which doesn't appear to have a set. So not every single item has a set bonus, but just kind of keep your eye out for that. Also keep your eye out for accessories that end up having 2 echo slots, just because you're going to get more bang for your buck there. And you always have to kind of remember that this weapon power here, this is considering what your echo is currently. So if I go here and remove this echo and then go back to here, press C twice to sort by power again, you can see that the ring has dropped way down. And the one we were looking at before, this herbal pouch, this actually is now giving us more weapon power than it was before. But it'll probably actually go down if we take off the set bonus here. I'm not sure. Let's see, look. Yeah, so we went to 4413 from our previous thing here. So our set bonus here of 4629, that 5% is really kicking in for a big plus. Now, in terms of echoes themselves, I'm extremely focused on going out and getting as many good offensive echoes as possible. And some of these are target farmable. So you might notice real quick that I have a whole bunch of these Shrike Skirmisher echoes. These you can just target farm very easily. That's not a good thing to say. You can target farm these by going and running the pit. The pit dungeon gives you these guys in abundance, and the higher level you go up, oh, you might just be bugged. The higher level up you go, the more likely you are to go and get these particular things, and that is pretty good. These there are also going to be better echoes as you level up and go through the game. So I just got the Bloodletter Echo, for example. Even though this is a lower rarity, it does have higher stats than the Shrike Skirmisher, just because it is higher level. It does have a higher capacity though as well. Now, if I wanted to upgrade these, and I noticed that almost all of these we're focusing on like max health, phys defense, weapon power, anywhere we can. We're throwing weapon power, even in some of these slots that are not offensive slots. And so even in here, we're throwing more weapon power as long as we don't have the space. But if we wanted to like upgrade these, you just right click on it. This pulls up the Echo Fusion menu, and most of this is kind of messed up. And so it will show you the current stats, so like physical defense, the capacity cost, all of that stuff is correct in the current stuff. But in the next, only the stats on the item. So like physical defense is correct here. It says the capacity cost is 12, but it would actually be 14 if I leveled up here. And the way I do that is I just click here, and then I press C twice to sort by power. This also fixes the bug where all of these show as not having any power. And then we'll put something in here that's about 300 or so. And so we can just go in here and just pick something. I guess we'll just pick this guy. And then press escape, and then fuse echoes. And this might seem like it bugs out. Yeah, that's what I figured. So it might seem like it bugs out there, but all you have to do is press escape and allow you to finish that up. Hopefully this video helps you out. I'm going to go hop in queue and then try to get back to the game, but I hope you guys have a great one. See ya.